Podcast is a platform for us to simply express our thoughts, opinions, and experiences concerning our faith and events around the world. We're here for your entertainment, encouragement, and edification of the body. We're humans like yourself and are not the final authority of views expressed. Only the Most High Yah is. Feel free to agree, disagree, edify, question, and comment however you're led to in the comments. We are many members of one body under Messiah and look forward to communing as a family with mutual respect. Shalom and enjoy the pod. Kingdom OutKasts.
What's good? We're back with another episode of Kingdom OutKasts Podcast.
Cameras that way.
But another episode of Kingdom OutKasts Podcast, episode 48.
The big 48.
Yep, we've been gone for a little bit, but we are back. We are your host, podcasting the truth of the way.
You may have forgot about us, but we didn't forget about you.
Most definitely. I'm Brandon Mashak.
Hey everybody, it's Deja.
Elijah.
Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. And if you'd like to, of course, donate or pour into the podcast, we are Kingdom OutKasts Pod on Cash App. All right.
Yes. Sorry. We really appreciate you guys for tuning in to this special episode. We know we took a little delay in getting some content out, but we're back. We're back in action.
Yes, indeed.
Most definitely.
How you been, Brandon?
Isn't there like a, what did you call it? The law of absence?
The law of absence.
The law of
Absence.
absence.
Yes. And now
It's one of the
we're
laws
here.
in the 48 laws of power called the law of absence.
Really?
Now, you
Okay.
have to create a lot of value first. You know, you have reason for people to miss you.
Right.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
you just
But
can't be absent.
you know, it just can't be absent because then it's like, oh, we didn't miss that guy. But
Now, people real deal be telling me how they're tuned in. Like some people, like who are a lot of people I find actually start from podcast episode 1
Wow.
and go down.
Oh wow, that's love. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we were laughing about, the transformation of the hair. Like
Oh,
if you go back and
yeah.
look at the first episode, we are like different.
Clean cut, Candace Bob,
Yeah.
Afro.
It's not a Candace Bob.
Okay.
Candace did not
There's a Bobby on
invent
it.
Okay.
She had the Bobby
a
on it.
blowout.
Well, we're all mop heads now.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Flourishing. We're gonna talk about that in our main topic.
Most
Uh-huh.
You
definitely.
know? But we have changed a lot.
Yes.
Sure.
It's
Like
been
it's
almost
like
2
when you
years now.
change on the inside is going to reflect on the outside some type of way.
Most definitely that self-love.
Yeah.
But I think you guys should get into, or I mean, not you guys, you guys
Yeah.
into
Okay.
your weeks and then me.
Okay. You know, are we?
Why have we been absent?
Why have we been absent?
Yes, we were doing something important, by the way.
Yeah, very important.
Yes.
For our relationship and doing some premarital counseling. We got blessed by Judah Wellness with some sound
Yes, healing Judah.
healing Judah. Yes, healing Judah Wellness. Some sound wisdom on how to start off on a firm foundation. Understood, like, you know, the Most High's order and structure, how we can work better as a team. I'm just giving some of my takeaways.
Mhm.
What the word says about our union, how we are just supposed to lead and cleave, and how to basically just be the teammates that we're called to be, and how we
Like
can
that.
just operate in this world together. But it was good. It was good overall, and I was blessed by the wisdom that Dr. Kim and Dom gave us, and we're so grateful that, you know, we have not had to really go outside of our faith community for
Yes.
anything, you know. So we've just been blessed in that sense, and it's just continuing confirmation of the Most High over our union. So
Mhm.
I'm just blessed and grateful for it.
They grow so fast.
Yeah, those are my takeaways, and definitely miss podcasting. I'm glad to be back here in the flesh with y'all. You know,
What else have you been up to?
preparing my mind for marriage, so like more of like a disciplined mindset. You know,
Mhm. Look at him. Doesn't he look like he's been through a lot?
yes. But yeah, so, you know, starting to get back in the gym, reading books, and just developing on you know, ideas that the Most High has given me with you know, being able to create wealth for my family and I. So just working on those sorts of things, creating like a daily habit. It's not about like that overall goal, but the daily process, falling in love with the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's been kind of what I've been up to over the last month. Work's been smooth, bills are paid. We don't have anything to worry about.
It's good, man. It's
Love
good.
Yeah, my time it's been good. I enjoyed the premarital counseling as well. Healing Judah Wellness definitely blessed us. I want to, if there's a way we can kind of like link them to anyone who's interested, possibly. And
Reach out to us directly.
Yeah, directly. But nonetheless, my main takeaways from premarital were about the cleaving part, and like managing like relationships outside of the marriage. One thing that most people, it sounds like a simple thing, but I think causes issues, in relationships is that if I think the way that I was grown up and shown and the way that my family does things is the best way and the only way, and you think that the way that your parents, did things and the way that they taught you to do things is the best way and the only way, how can you come together? So just creating our own norms, like creating our own intentional things that we agree with instead of bringing everything into the marriage that was our already perceived notion. So like that's a big part of cleaving, and the importance of cleaving as far as just like strengthening the bond of the marriage, like early on, I think is important. So yeah, just being intentional about like communication, prayer, daily prayer together, and then just like getting on the same page each week about what the week is going to look like, or even what the month is going to look like. So like we had an example that we were able to bring up where like Elijah had wanted to plan a date for me, and his intention behind planning the date and all was very well, but he forgot to ask me if I was available. So like stuff like that where, okay, in the future, we want to have a good idea about what each other has like kind of planned for the weekend or planned for the month. I feel like I want to have the kind of marriage where we like take an international, trip each year. So just, just being on the same page about the things, all of the things.
Right. Gotcha.
I had brought up an example about multi-generational living, where like, the grandparents are able to live within like the compound and like help with raise the children, their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And the exact thing that I had brought up as an example was a thing that our counselors were actually working through and dealing with in that, like in their season, because they were, thinking about like, okay, if we relocate, like, do we bring our parents and the things that come with having your parents that adjacent to you?
Yeah.
That does, I kind of, it sounds nice, right? But
nosiness.
It comes with nosiness, or they might think that you have their own way.
Yeah.
They feel like they're above, obviously, because they're the parent.
So
like all the different little things that like some stuff sounds great in theory, but it takes that wisdom and that kind of like counseling to kind of like
boundaries
to talk about.
For sure.
We even discussed about like family planning and like wanting to have children and stuff. I feel like that was a good discussion, but I was actually surprised. They had me making me question my own thinking around wanting to have children. Of course, I want to have children, but not doing it from a place of fear. Like, oh no, I need to do this and I need to do that to make sure it's not like I don't have too many children or have them too soon, and I have to plan everything out so perfectly. Like, allow the Most High, to work. So I really enjoyed it. It was nice.
Yeah.
Just don't expect to see any of this bonding on the actual podcast, because they will not be ganging up on me.
And we're not turning this into a relationship podcast either.
For sure.
Now I will be darned that gummit.
People want to hear.
Deja went hard.
People want to hear.
Outside of the premarital counseling, how have you been?
Outside of premarital counseling, I have been well. Just did a garden reset. Technically the first day of summer, I think, was like last Saturday. So on Juneteenth, I took the day off, and I went and pulled up all of my winter spring gardens. Like, I had collard greens and kale that were like totally overgrown, out of control. So I like went and cleaned that all up. I put down peppers, tomatoes, strawberries, cucumbers. So that was nice, doing a little reset.
Yeah, you've been plant bang all over IG for sure.
Yes, indeed.
Cool. Okay. Well, shoot. My life is things have been cool. I came back from Mexico a couple of weeks ago. Godbrother got married out there in Cancun. It was my second time. So that was great. Didn't get to see all the historic things that I wanted, but I got to talk to a historian there.
Okay.
And we kind of chopped it up about, some things. And y'all know I'm a nerd on that type of stuff. Shoot, then
oh, sorry. Are you moving off Mexico?
Huh?
I was gonna ask if you went to like any temples.
No. Yeah, we did go like off of we did go off of resort, to see the city and experience that a little bit, but that was about it. So been socializing my dog, so that's been cool. Locks is growing longer, so that's cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. I cut I cut it, y'all know I self-cut. I cut it Friday. I don't really like it. I tried a different kind of fade. I think I like it when it's darker up top.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It looks too mohawky kind of to me. But what else? Yeah, for sure.
Elijah had cut his beard completely off, and it was a shocker to me. And it's already back. So
when did you do this?
It's back already. Basically,
it was like a month ago, I'd say. It's actually less than a month ago. It's like whenever you had your bridal shower. So it's like.
Were you like never do that again?
It wasn't long. It was like
down. Okay.
I almost felt like I didn't recognize him. I'm like, babe, is that
you catfished me?
I'm not being fished.
But yeah, no, life has been cool, man. I mean, honestly, there's been a lot, but life is cool. I don't really have a whole bunch of stuff I just want to run through. But let's get started on this precept, man.
Let's get to it.
For sure. So the precept, this is gonna come from a writing called the Gospel of the Holy 12, aka Gospel of the Nazarenes. Now, just so y'all understand this, the Gospel of the Holy 12 was actually preserved by Freemasons. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be the original New Testament before they kind of took out certain teachings, certain verses, certain things. Okay. Where the Messiah, he taught a lot on you see the same teaching in the New Testament, but you'll see where he's actually said to have never eaten meat. He actually lived like a true Nazarene. The fish and bread miracle was actually bread and grapes. Basically what speculation and what I speculate is if the Catholic Church might have put more. There was a lot more plant-based eating going on in Israel than we may have realized. You know what I'm saying? But there was probably still meat. But honestly, most
of the disciples were fisher.
Well, fisher. But it's like this: when the Messiah comes and he's teaching like the way or the original way, in a sense, like trying to curve towards the garden, diet a little bit. Which the millennial reign is supposed to be closer to that, right? And we're not eating animals that are talking to us. You know what I'm saying? But okay, I'm gonna run through this. It's about 16 verses. Okay, what is truth? Again, the 12 were gathered together in a circle of palm trees, and one of them, even Thomas, said to the other, "What is truth? For the same thing appeared different to different minds, and even to the same mind at different times. What then is truth?" As they were speaking, Yeshua appeared in their midst and said, "Truth, one and absolute, is in Yah alone. For no man, neither any body of men, knoweth what Yah alone knoweth, who is all in all. To men is truth revealed according to their capacity to understand and receive. The one truth hath many sides, and one seeth one side only, another seeth another, and some seeth more than others, according as it is given to them. Behold this crystal, how the one light it's manifest in 12 faces, yea, 4 times 12. And each face reflecteth one ray of light, and one regardeth one face, and another. But it is the one crystal, and the one light that shineth in all. Behold again, when one climbeth a mountain and attaining one height, he said, this is the top of the mountain, let us reach it. And when they have reached that height, lo, they see another beyond it, until they come to that height from which no other height has been to be seen. If so be they can attain it. So it is with truth. I am the truth and the way and the life, and have been given to you the truth I have received from above.
Hallelujah.
Yes, sir. And that which is seen and received by one is not seen and received by another. That which appeareth true to some seemeth not true to others. They who are in the valley see not as they who are on the hilltop. But to each it is the truth as one mind seeth it. And for that time to a higher truth shall be revealed unto the same. And to the soul which receiveth higher light shall be given more light. Wherefore condemn not others, that ye be not condemned. As ye keep the holy law of love, which I have given unto you, so shall the truth be revealed more and more unto you. And the spirit of truth, which cometh from above, shall guide you, albeit through many wanderings into all truth, even as the fiery cloud guideth the children of Israel through the wilderness. Be faithful to the light ye have, till a higher light is given to you. Seek more light, and ye shall have abundantly. Rest not till ye find. God giveth you all truth as a ladder which many steps, for the salvation and perfection of the soul. The truth which seemeth today ye will abandon for a higher truth of the morrow. Press ye into perfection. Whoso keepeth the holy law which I have given, the same shall save their souls. However differently they may see the truths which I have given. Many shall say unto me, Lord, Lord, we have been zealous for thy truth. But I shall say unto them, Nay, but that others may see as ye see, and none other truth beside. Faith without charity is dead. Love is the fulfilling of the law. How shall faith in what they receive profit them that holdeth it in unrighteousness? They who have love have all things, and without love there is nothing worth. Let each other hold what they see to be the truth in love, knowing that where love is not, truth is a dead letter and profiteth nothing. There abide goodness and truth and beauty, but the greatest of these is goodness. If any have hatred to their fellows and harden their hearts to the creatures of God's hands, how can they see truth unto salvation, seeing their eyes are blinded and their hearts are hardened to God's creation? As I have revived the truth, so have I given it to you. Let each other receive it according to their light and ability to understand, and persecute not those who receive it after a different interpretation. Lastly, for truth is the might of Yah, and it shall prevail in the end over all errors. But the holy law which I have given is plain for all, and just and good. Let all observe it for the salvation of their souls. Break it down.
Woo!
I know it was a lot,
That was
but
a lot.
I
That was
couldn't
good.
excerpt that.
Yeah, that's. I don't know where to start.
You see.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind for me is just a reminder that our perception is based on our thoughts. And so I'm the kind of person, which I think a lot of people that are strong in their faith also have the tendency to be less swayed by others' opinions. And sometimes we can be self-righteous in thinking that what we think is correct and what we know is correct, and there's no other version of the truth. So truth is, of course, a word that we throw around all the time. But I mean, according to, the reading, like, truth is based on perception. So if you're in the valley, you see it one way. If you're at the top at the mountain, you see it another way. It doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong.
When I was going to say, and even he's not even saying it's like, he's not even saying like there's multiple truths.
Right.
What he's saying is that according to your maturity and the perfection of your soul, it's like, for example, we come into this truth. We're Hebrews, right? And this is the Most High's name, Yahuwah, because the Sefer Bible says it. And then, some people are like, this is the name of God. But then maybe you do some deeper studying and realize, oh, wait a minute, this tetragrammaton might actually be more Jewish than actually the original. Like, people have so many different Shalom, Shabbat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think I had a couple of takeaways, but the first one, which is really foundational for our faith, is that Yeshua is the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
And I think that with that, like, it helped me like kind of understand more of, okay, so we got, like, let's say we have a Buddhist who understands a truth. Like, if you jump from a 10-story building, you're going to die. That, like, because of gravity, that's a truth.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fact. And, but when you have Yeshua, you have truth in, he is the way, the truth, and the life. So, like, you have a different perspective of truth when you are in Yeshua.
Yeah.
So, like, although other people that aren't in Yeshua can understand, like, truth, they don't understand that he is the truth, the way, and the life. It's like more of like it's a perspective, I think, that we have being in the truth, but also being in Yeshua, because, you know, Hebrew Israelites, they'll be like, it's just basically like, without, if you don't put your salvation in Yeshua and you're not, like, filled with his Holy Spirit, then you're not going to have the fullness of truth. Like, you know, like, your perspective is going to be different if you're in the valley versus in the mountains. And also, I think about, like, okay, some applicableness, how it says something about love. Like, the most important is love. And I think that's so vital, because when we are interacting with people that don't believe that Yeshua is the way, the truth, and the life, like, we have to still share love with them. And we have to be able to still understand that, like, that they may not be in Yeshua yet, but we can share with them love, and we can connect with them on some sort of truth from their perspective. And eventually the love of Yeshua is going to engulf them. Like, man, I have to be following Christ, like, in following his laws, statutes, and commands, and just praying to the Most High through Yeshua only. So it's like, I think about love in that sense, because I have a dealer who I'm like, you know, I mentioned this to Deja. I'm like, I know he's in the Muslim faith right now, and I have a lot of love for him. And his family is in Gaza. He's Palestinian, and of course, like, that's all of his environment that he knows is Islam. And I mentioned, you know, how I, you know, just, you know, my perspective on, like, how the Balfour Declaration happened, my perspective on, you know, the Bible, us being the people, but I never, like, tried to push it too much. Like, I dropped those seeds while we were on the phone, and then this past Wednesday, I met him in person for the first time. And, you know, of course, I'm not going to bring those things up, you know, I'm just going to share love. You know, I'm like, man, it's so great to see you in person. I got to embrace him, and we got to connect on, like, other things. But I think, first off, Yeshua said the first and greatest commandment is to love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart, your mind, your soul. So that's first. You know what I mean? Prioritizing him, and then loving our neighbors. Like, we have to love other people. And I think that nowadays, in today's generation, I know I'm on a tangent, but in today's generation, like, I feel like love is starting to be sucked out of society.
It's self-love. That's what they preach, is self-love.
It's just like, okay, just take care of yourself, and we're not caring about each other. Like, how is your well-being, Brandon? You know what I mean? Like, are you okay, actually? Like, because I love you, and I want to make sure that you're okay. It's things like that I think us as a body of believers cannot lose. Even, like, you know, amidst all the tribulation and stuff, we have to keep love at the center of it. So, and that comes through Yeshua. You know?
This verse reminds me of that. I've told y'all this story a few times of just when the November 2019, the last time I was at my Christian church, where I prayed for an unquenchable thirst for wisdom and knowledge. And Most High just woke something up out of me. I had a whole experience, and, you know, I went through the stages of kind of like, I wasn't on the street corners, but of being the overbearing brew. You know, this is truth, so I'm not wrong for saying it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if you don't have love, it's, you know, what did it say? It's like a dead, you know, it's dead. You know what I mean? What's the point of telling truth if it's not in love? Because people aren't going to receive it. Also, it just reminds me of being wise with truth as well. You got to be wise with who you communicate, how you communicate. Everybody might not be there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You have to it's a responsibility when you know certain things that you just know others might not be able to handle. Yeah. That's also love. Like, you want them to know this so bad, but can they actually, handle that? That's not to say up for you to decide, but hopefully you have the Ruach HaKodesh to teach you that. But yeah, man, it's just amazing teaching about truth, just because, again, just that analogy of you get to the top of the mountain and you think you've arrived and you see that there's a nut in the mountain. Yeah. Uh-huh. It's like it's the rabbit hole. Yeah. It goes deep, 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 deep. And
you got to keep love in there.
Yeah, man. And it's just that the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. Yeah. That humility and realizing, you know what? I'll never know it all, but at the end of the day, my salvation in the Messiah and knowing who my Father is the one truth that I need. And at the end of the day, all the bickerings, about what is truth between Christians, Israelites, between Christians and other denominations, between Hebrews and different doctrinal Hebrews, all these petty arguments we have over doctrinal stuff, the Most High is going to correct that in the reign. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's going to correct that when he regathers us. And so, that's what I take from that.
Yeah. I wanted to say this real quick. Make sure y'all drop some comments on this precept, and we would love to hear your thoughts
for sure
on what you guys gathered from it. I also want to say in the description below, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link, because I feel like Bishop Brown did a great job of kind of touching on what you're mentioning with coming into the truth, but like remaining in love and applying it to our lives.
Oh yeah.
In his book, I believe it's called
Waking Up in America. Oh, you got it.
We're going to put a description or a link to the book in the description. So make sure y'all check that out. I think it's an amazing book for anyone who's coming into the truth and how to operate.
Have you finished it yet?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
We should have an episode or something where you do a review on it.
Okay. Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. It was sensational.
Okay.
Like I feel like it saved me. It saved me relationships.
Yes. Yes.
How to operate within them, because I done lost some relationships where people look at me funny, like, bro.
I've been through it.
So. It's just a great book for anyone coming into the truth to read.
Yeah, that's
and that goes right into our Hebrew word, y'all.
Truth.
Oh.
And I have two here. Okay. So first, starting with Strong's Hebrew 571. A myth. Okay, a myth. 571. A feminine noun or adverb. KJV, assured, establishment, faithful, right, sure, true, verily, a verity. NASB is truth, true, faithfulness, faithfully, truly, faithful, truthful. The word origin, contracted from 539. Number one, stability. Two, figuratively, certainty, truth, trustworthiness. Strong's Austin coordinates, assuredly, establishment, faithful, right, sure, true, verily. You know what? And I'm going to go to this other one. Koshette, 5189, Koshette. Masculine noun. One, equity as evenly weighed or reality. Truth. Kosh, from an unused root meaning to balance. Equity, evenly weighed. Let's see if we have some historical.
Because that part kosh, that reminds me of like Kodesh or kosher.
No, most definitely. Yeah, they got a good boy. They've added more in here to like Hebrew words.
Okay, Bible Hub, we see you.
Right. Because I'm not trying to drag it. Let's see. Theology, historical setting. Yeah, it's a lot here.
Yeah.
The term semantic range. The term denotes truth that is not merely factual, but straight, accurate, and reliable. It carries the idea of something so exact that it can serve as a standard or plumb line Unlike the broader Hebrew words for truth, such as emet, this word highlights precision and integrity that can be publicly tested. So there's different words for truth in the Hebrew language.
Yeah.
So the one I read before is a broader term. This one is more finite, as far as like, a real standard, and they're given like, so they're giving like historical background. Oh, it's so much here, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look through this. Okay, historical background. Babylonian culture prized omens, dreams, manuals, and pantheon of gods, yet failed to supply the ultimate certainty. When imperial wisdom collapsed, emerged as this word, kishut, emerged as a term that summarized the superior reliability of Israel's God. Historically, these confessions likely circulated among exilic Jews as reassurance that empires rise and fall, but covenant truth endures. So it sounds like this word truth, koshet, is something that was formed during the Babylonian slavery, where it was to reteach Israel like our God is true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you see, I guess, the formulation of new Hebrew words to curb Israel back to God, or to make it specific to Israel's most high. But yeah, there's a lot of different words for truth here, to be honest. Steadfast, firmness, fidelity, verily, truly, watch, guard. What y'all got, man?
That's good. No, that's deep. I'm always with the when we're learning these Hebrew words, I like to have the context for which it was most likely would have been used in the scripture, for that reason, because that does change the meaning. So we read a very large excerpt about truth, and so I would just be curious if we were to transcribe the entire excerpt from Hebrew, which version of the word truth was used.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely understand what you're saying there. Can't do it in real time, but yeah, there's definitely a
personal
good
study.
Yeah, for sure, personal study. So
my takeaway was, how you mentioned at the end, like, was that word koshet? Koshet came about due to Israelites just relying on the Most High, the most, like, with all the swirlings of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And it just reminded me of Proverbs, lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Yah.
Yeah.
So, just doing that and realizing that you may be able to solve complex mathematical equations and do crazy or really genius level things, but it's the Most High who is the creator and the securer of all knowledge and all wisdom and all understanding. So, it's just gotta have that perspective of like, okay, like, to the Most High. Of course, I think we still study to show ourselves approved, but at the end of the day, like, we're not going to have it all.
Yeah. To be so great, but not fulfill your purpose, creator purpose. It's crazy.
Yeah. So let's get into some current events.
Yeah, the many of them. Okay.
The first one is funny to me. So basically, the state of Israel is recruiting friends.
Yes.
Friends around the world.
Let's play this video
in order to, I don't know, boost morale.
Yeah. So
let's
we got a couple. We got a couple of things we can.
We're gonna react to here.
So here's we got a video that we found on Instagram.
All right, let's see.
Tab audio. It's not on my screen.
Are you trying to play it on the screen?
Yeah, I wanted for the viewers to see.
Technical difficulty.
Give us just a moment, you guys.
Tell a joke, Brandon.
I'm blacker than Deja now. Yeah, like I have more melanin than both of you guys.
I
Actually.
run as the chief of staff of the foreign ministry, and I want to tell you something. A decade ago, when I started this, I had a vision of establishing an ambassador program to commission pastors to become ambassadors for the state of Israel. I wrote the curriculum, and just in the last month, the Prime Minister of Israel has approved the program. He's going to sign the diplomas. He's going to speak at their graduation. And the chief of staff here is going to be flying the pastors to Israel for this ceremony.
Good,
So
good.
he's our partner in this new initiative, this ambassador program.
All right, y'all. React.
Buying friends.
I literally hit my dad up like and said, like, yo, don't you dare. It's like, look, I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah,
You know?
I feel like it's probably in certain sects of Christianity, like
Oh, yeah.
denominations for sure.
Well, definitely the churches that say, hey, can you please donate to Israel? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Honestly, I think my old church that I used to go to would possibly hop on board with that. You know,
Yeah.
I definitely remember there being a sermon where there was like, you know, a donation for Israel or some junk like that.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
us in the Bible, then us in the Bible study group that we got though, us young adults, nah, we a little bit more learned. You know, I made sure.
Yeah, no, when I hear the word ambassador, it makes me think like, okay, how can we get people to kind of like do our bidding for us instead of us calling? Because the whole everything's anti-Semitic, it's not really working anymore.
Yeah.
So I think what they have to do is they have to get large mega churches, Christian churches on board with them. And so they're calling it an ambassador so that they can pretty much push their will on other groups of people within other religious systems.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're going to touch on that too, like the Abrahamic Coalition that they've got coming up. But yeah, I think it's to further the deception, to tie Christianity and the church closer to that false people movement, and getting people to believe in a deception, a lie. So
you know, shout out to Truth Unedited. He's been doing a series about the heat camp Hebrew Israelites.
it's been good.
And you're right, and adjacent to like a race war, you know, coming to be started.
Good.
And I see, you know, this kind of like precursor, you know, to that. For the ones who don't believe that they're Bruce, let's get them solid on Israel and them thinking they're the chosen people, which will incite violence, civil war amongst ourselves. You know what I mean? Them, the Christian church and Zionism against the Hebrew Israelites, you know, and unfortunately those camps are making us look bad, like we're enemies that people, you know, need to fight. So I do think this kind of plays into that a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you know, along the lines of the
it has been good.
The Abrahamic faith stuff,
I wish we should have put that on the current event somehow. I don't know. It's not a current
Jot
event,
down. Look,
but
I need you to jot down. We got a note or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the whole he was been building up 4-part episode, like 4 to 6 episodes on the history of the camp,
the One West,
and the One West camps, and they are becoming militant. So what I kind of came to mind was, this is how Hezbollah, Hamas, and those type of organizations, that's how they start. It starts as a religious group that turns militant. So imagine like a Hezbollah version of Hebrew Israelites.
And that's how they're gonna and that's how the world will eventually start all coming for us. You know, I say it to people now, but you guys, this whole World War III is really about us, you know, but it's not being able to be seen because you know, that the foundation for that is being laid right now. The groundwork is being laid for that. But at the end of this world war, who's going to be the people left that they're going to come for it? The Valley of Jehoshaphat, Most High pleading for his people. We're watching the foundation being laid for the hate against us.
Something just hit in my mind about the we're already in World War III, but like that reality that it's all about us and then our future persecution.
Mhm.
But
Or they try to
they're
persecute us.
trying to. I mean, they can't touch us because we got the Most High.
Yeah.
But, okay. I'm sorry. Look, quick history lesson. World War One. After World War One, what happens? The Ottoman Empire falls.
Yeah, there you go.
The Balfour Declaration happens.
Yeah.
Those people get moved into Palestine. They're still in conflict today.
And remember, Albert Pike wrote all of that out in his 1871 letter.
Yes. And then World War II happens.
Mhm.
We see those people now having to. They had a form of persecution.
Yeah.
They had a form of persecution, and then after that, after World War II, they got their own state.
As they told us.
They got their own state.
Mhm.
After World War II, and also the Bretton Woods Agreement came into play with the United States. So now the United States is basically reserve currency status.
Mhm.
World War III, we're seeing the dismantling of the central bank authorities,
Mhm.
and also, I think that people are starting to come awaken to Zionism,
Mhm.
and then the Islamic factions. But yeah, that was just interesting. I don't know why I went there, but it's just interesting in relation to us as well, because it's all about that deception of who the people are.
Yeah, and what you literally said goes into our I guess our later topic on I don't think we have it up there, but where they're gonna start banning people for their anti-Israel social media posts. Yeah.
So yeah, but now we see here on the screen the Abraham Alliance, and this is looks like a poster.
The disrespect on our ancestors' names.
Disrespectful. But
Time
we
for
know
a
that they're
new
going
Middle
to.
East.
Yeah. You got Trump, you got the Crown Prince, you got Netanyahu, you've got the leaders of the Middle East, and it looks like in Europe as well.
Candace calls him Boss BB.
You know what? This is already
hilarious.
this is literally how like the generations gonna come up are going to hate all Abrahamic faiths even more.
Yeah.
Like, because it's already like being brutal, like how people are like hating Christianity, hating anything that has to do with the Bible. And for these people to literally name grab our ancestor who's the father of these nations, this is just so people hate them even more.
Yeah.
This is why Luciferianism will be easy to introduce to the world after all of this, because of these people who are trying to become representatives of the faith.
Well,
like
Pastor O, he's been making a good point when it comes to who the people are, like speaking about people groups, and he talks about the difference between Arabs and Persians, and how they're separate people groups. And then he talks about the sons, the sons and daughters of Ishmael and of Keturah. So, I mean, it is not totally incorrect to say that Arabs and that they are Abrahamic people.
But like an alliance though, like for nations. That's
but what I would say is, okay, so it gets a little bit deeper into, well, no, these are bloodlines Esau intermingled with. Yeah. Like the Ishmaelites are still black and they still live in the Middle East.
Esau is Abrahamic.
No, I understand what you're saying. But even Esau is still black. Fulani tribe, Issa tribe, Udomo tribe. What I'm saying is these are nations that have merely intermingled. So it's like Arabs, they have the religion of Abraham, but they're still Japheth. They just have some of the blood of Ishmael and Esau because of intermingling. That's all I'm saying. These are like the whited out, these are Japheth with Semitic in them.
And they're not teaching people to the Most High even. It's Abrahamic Alliance. I just thought of Psalms 83, verse 5. If you go to your Bibles, it says, "With one mind they plot together; they form an alliance against you." And we know that Psalms 83 is this psalm.
Yes, yep. I love bringing that one out.
Psalm that talks about the tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites.
Yeah.
Of Moab and the Hagrites. So with one mind they plot together and they form an alliance against you. It's literally what that state over there is doing.
Yeah, I attribute the contract the Catholic Church signed, to enslaving in the form for Christianity, to start slave trade to that verse as well.
Yeah.
what's so crazy about that verse is when it gets into the winds and
Mhm.
the tornadoes and the storms,
Mhm.
you start to like look at I think I showed y'all this though, but I looked up the patterns of the tornadoes all follow the Underground Railroad path, and they're all only on the east of America. Tornadoes don't really happen in the west.
That's so true. Yeah,
right?
That's a good point.
The hurricanes follow the path of this transatlantic slave trade.
Interesting.
The fires, I looked at some fire maps, and you find fires most intense in European countries and areas, and not where African and Latino like people. So that verse where like he names these elements, you see that they're harshest against the people or nations that did.
Yeah.
Or they follow these paths that signify who we are, even in the weather.
It's like there's so many confirmations for us being the people of the book, us being descendants of Israelites. That
for sure.
Like, when people don't get it, I'm like Pastor Mitchell, 2019. He's been going hard against.
He doesn't want
nothing
to get it.
about the Bible can be.
But that's why I think he's a plant, bro. I really think he's a plant because he sounds like articulate, but it's like, bro, like you're not reading the Bible for yourself with some of the stuff that you're saying. Like you have to have been taught from some Roman institution or 501c3 Jewish plant. I don't know what it is, bro, but that's not in the thing right now. We got a lot to talk about, y'all. But yeah, so what did they say? What the end goal of that? It's just a ceasefire agreement.
Yeah, it's just ceasefire and one world peace.
Which Trump lied about too, by the way, because more bombing happened. Yeah.
I guess we can stay on kind of Abrahamic things. We got Texas stating that they're going to now display the 10 Commandments in schools.
Yes, and allow Bibles or prayer time in schools as well.
Yeah.
A new Texas law, Senate Bill 11, mandates a daily period for prayer and Bible reading in public schools. This law requires school boards to adopt a policy within 6 months of enactment, with the policy taking effect beginning with the 2025-2026 school year. The law allows for voluntary participation in prayer or reading religious texts, requiring consent from students and their parents, guardians. And then you have, and I found this article, Christian parents sue to stop 10 Commandments required in Texas schools.
Christian parents.
Yes. And if you want me, I can go into that article just a little bit.
Why would they sue? Yeah,
so a group of faith leaders and parents from North Texas Week sued to stop a new state law that required public schools to display 10 Commandments in classrooms, arguing it violates their First Amendment and parental rights. The plaintiff filed a suit Tuesday in Dallas federal court on behalf of their 10 children who attend schools in Dallas, DeSoto, and Lancaster Independent School Districts, whose boards are all named as defendants. The suit challenges one of the latest measures this lawmakers have passed that critics say inject religion into the state's public schools, attended by roughly 5.5 million children. So the supporters argue the 10 Commandments and teachings of Christianity broadly are vital to understanding the U.S. history. Freemasonry, actually, which some scholars say is incorrect. One of them, a Christian minister, said the display will conflict with religious, social justice, and civil rights beliefs he seeks to teach his kids by offering the measures of religious tolerance. This, again, is how they're going to get the world to hate us.
I agree.
Hate everything with the Bible. This might look good on the surface. But it has a real agenda. Because if you read that Bible from front to back and apply it, the Hebrews were never to impose or force their beliefs on other people.
Right.
Like
set apart.
The only people that they really interjected in with is the Canaanites and the ones related because they were in their land. That was allotted to Shem. The land of Canaan was already promised to Shem's bloodline. So they had no business being there anyways. But the Most High never had Israel go and force their beliefs. Yes, he had prophets like Jonah and stuff to preach, to repent to nations. But guess what? A lot of these nations actually already knew about the Israelite God. You know what I mean? It was more of like a reminder. I would say, you know, I could be wrong on that, right? But I believe that that's what I'm coming up with. So,
I mean, the prophets were
yeah,
directly rebuking Israel.
yeah,
They weren't going out to the Philistines or to you know the Moabites. Like they weren't going out unto the other nations to prophesy against their destruction. It was only for Israel, and for Judah. You know what I mean? Like that's what the prophets were coming to rebuke the Most High's people on. So the fact that, you know, it's just part of the overall agenda, like you said, to getting people to hate the as much as possible in the Most High.
Yeah,
ways, you know.
Yeah, it's
you gotta see it like that, and I think it's. I mean, this real quick. It puts a bad taste in public schools and just schools in general.
Yeah,
you know, but it's just part of the process.
I also feel like we're going to see people start to rise up against it. And so I feel like that's going to bring about a level of evil for those who genuinely hate the Bible, hate, you know, Christianity, like that is going to stir something up in them to want to go and like create issues. And I think what people have these kind of a perception of a future where religion is forced on us as like an overcorrection.
Yes.
For doing, you know, bad. So you picture like a society that's like a Handmaid's Tales type, you know, uniformity where everyone has to wear a certain color and everyone. So it's like they put these images out of the extremeness of like how far it could go. Yeah. So I just think this is going to get a good word.
You said religion.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Bishop Omar, he actually touched on that overcorrection aspect in the past sermon where he was correcting the teachings on alcohol and wine. It's like when you're looking at what was it, like, you know, he said early 1900s or 1800s or whatever. He said the Methodist Church had a big say in, in that we're overconsuming alcohol, and so they just outlawed alcohol. Which is an overcorrection, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, now then you got the Great Depression. Yeah. Now everybody's drunk and can't handle the lick. Like,
or people are getting rich by breaking the law.
Right. Yeah. And this is why Yeshua had to come, because there were so many extra laws and extra rules that was bogging Israel down, and he came to free them from the Mishnah, the Talmud, these laws that the leaders were putting on them because they wanted to get out of the other captivities they were at. All they had to do was obey what the Most High gave them already.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's just another example of how religion and government are seeking to be all the more intertwined.
Yes.
Even in the example of the Methodist Church, it was only until after like prohibition started, then they're like, okay, churches, we're not going to do nothing. Yeah. But in the Bible that you're supposed to be reading, it talks about your wines overflowing. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. So it's a blessing.
It's like I agree with your overcorrection statement, but it's also, I think we're going to see, because there's going to be a one-world government, there's also going to be a one-world religion. So they're going to have to morph these religions into something. You know what I mean? So
the separation of church and the separation of church and state was for this ending agenda, just like it is. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's just amazing because the agenda is like really there, but if you're not really on your truth in your walk and really seeking truth, like that pastor said, this is just going to be one of those things that fly over your head. Yeah. And you know, we talk about what's a salvation issue or not, you know, but Truth and Editor brought up a real good point, especially when we talk about the rapture doctrine. Is well, you're wanting to be one of the people taken. Not left behind for the millennial reign, for the renewed heaven and earth. And, you know, a lot of this stuff, these loves of truth, man, it starts to look a little bit more like, could it really be a salvation? Like, you think you have these, but if you have such a low level of truth, or you're on such milk, you know, it's not like it can be staying stagnant. You're either going backward or forward. You see what I'm saying? So it's something to really think about, for real.
Yeah, a little leaven's the whole lump.
For sure.
You know, and I think it's important to, of course, be in your word for yourself, but like even just breaking your perspective away from all the indoctrination that you've had to go through with even Christianity. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that we thought were biblical, like, oh, you can't drink, but that's actually not even in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or so many other aspects. So that's what we just tell people.
For sure.
I also feel like we are called to the quiet place. And so when you start talking about having public displays of faith mandated in school, it could lead to bullying and persecution, public persecution of children.
And I think that there's a Yahshua says, like, give in secret, and then the Most High will reward you. But if you give openly, then that's your reward. Yes. Almost like this is like openly they want to say, okay, we're doing. We're going to put the 10 Commandments out here. The reward is this current publicity that they're getting. Like, they're not really trying to follow the Most High's way in secret. Like, in those chambers in Congress, they're not like really applying biblical principles to their lives, or even, I can't speak to their lives, but like to their practices. So it's just like, are you worshiping Him in spirit and in truth?
Yeah, my ending comment is, at the end of the day, there are pros and there are cons. But the end game is a big con. Yeah. And that's how I'm looking at it.
That's real. But I think it's a good segue into the UK.
I don't have a thing for that.
Oh, the UK Bible ban? I got you. So Labour Council seeks to UK court acquisitions Christian pastor accused of blaspheming Islam. So a British court has ruled in favor of a Christian street preacher prosecuted by the police on charges of blaspheming against the Quran, Islam, and its founder Muhammad. The judgment is a major setback for Labour government and its Islamic supporters who are attempting to implement a blasphemy law that would limit criticism of Islam by imposing a wide-ranging of disputed definition of Islamophobia. The Christian Legal Center said on Monday that Judge J. Kelly had thrown out the case against evangelist Karandeep Maman at Wolverhampton Crown Court because the prosecution had failed to bring evidence against the preacher under Section 4A of the Public Order Act. And you just got other, and that's from the Middle Eastern Forum. You got MSN headline: UK Christians in shock as government prepares law that could send preachers to prison. And so it's a one pastor who seems to have overstepped or something, right? And now it's kind of wanting to damn the entire religious sect, right? And again, I think we're just seeing this like with unfortunately our One West Camp Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, like, you're pissing everybody off. Laws are going to be coming enacted against you. And now the stereotype is going to be put on the entire group, not just this one section. Same thing we hear when it comes to Christianity or any, and it's so funny because it is Christianity in Hebrew. Islam doesn't really get, there are jokes, Islamic, persecution and stuff. And even Judaism gets a level of it, but you definitely see where Christianity or Hebrewism kind of gets the brunt of it. I think all Abrahamic faiths are always going to get a level of persecution and talking against because it's Abraham. Or anything attached to our ancestor Abraham, the world is going to hate. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you do see this zeroing in, kind of more on, Christianity. Israelite faiths, and I mean, look, it's the world. It's how they look at us. This, and that even I think kind of even segues into the Russia Satanic Temple situation. But yeah, I guess do you have something on that? I guess that no. Well, in the Russian Satanic Temple, let me see.
Satanic Temple was outlawed in Russia, it looks like. So this article says,
the
Prosecutor General's office claims the U.S.-based quasi-religious organization supports members of extremist and terrorist movements. So Russia outlawed the Satanic Temple, and they tied it to the United States. That's It's valid.
You know, and it's funny because it's interesting because you know, Putin is a Mason and a Jew. Now that's not, you know, and I'm gonna just to because you got to cite your source. Putin was in power by the Federation of Jewish Organizations in Russia. He was put into power. The Jewish chairman of the organization, Abrahamic, stated in 2005 interview that Putin could obtain Israeli citizenship if he wanted as an ethnic Jew, and that his mother was a Jew, Shalamova. This makes Putin full Jewish by Jewish law.
Oh.
Something damning in the first edition of Putin's book, First Person, an Astonishing Frank Self-Portrait by Russia's President. It states his mother's maiden name was Shalamovich, which is a Jewish surname, but this changed to Shamalova in the second edition, which is attempted to cover it up. So Putin, I mean, to be honest, I feel like he's doing these same rituals behind closed doors. It's like controlled opposition.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's controlled opposition. You're part of Masonry, which, you know, Albert Pike, Lucifer the Light Bearer, Morals and Dogma. You have a missile called the Satan missile. It was at him or the Catholic Church that has the the Catholic Church has the Lucifer telescope, I believe.
the telescope.
And they got a Putin as a missile named Satan 2. It's called Satan 2.
Yeah.
So this is hypocritical to
Yeah.
me. It's just like a thing of kind of stir up the West against them type situation.
Yeah. And it can happen. I think it can happen both ways. So if he is able to outlaw a satanic temple, that means that he would be possibly able to outlaw a Christian church.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This could, you know, kind of spiral effect, you know, into that. But he's also the president who revealed the original black and brown, you know, Russian icons. Like
yes,
Putin is a weird wild card. I still think he's, you know, controlled op. I mean, they're helping upbuild Africa, you know, but he's definitely the most interesting character on the playboard, I would say, in this whole world debacle.
And he's also like, he's one of the OGs on the playboard as well. Like Putin has been in power since the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's old KGB. So like that's their CIA.
Yeah.
So he's been in power for a minute. So has Xi Jinping's a little bit newer, but he's one of the older power players in the world. So I think that's why he's a wild card.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good point.
It's interesting, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we ready to get into the main topic?
I guess last thing, the AI governance bill.
Let's react because this is.
I don't think we have a video, but
Oh, really? I thought I sent it to you.
So send it to the to Elijah's MacBook. Yeah. So we got this bill that's getting passed in Congress. The big, beautiful bill, it's a reconciliation bill, which will upend states' bottom-up AI governance. This 10-year ban would prohibit states from enforcing already passed laws and passing new laws regulating AI models and automated decision systems. So this bill that's soon to get passed is basically going to give AI a 10-year pass, essentially. And
a 10-year pass.
A 10-year pass for all no laws, no legislation, like none of that. Let's watch it. Y'all want to watch the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he probably says it a little bit better.
One of the largest rabbit holes I've ever found. And this is the replacement of the government with AI. And that's what's in this bill. Let's talk about it. So in section 43201, it talks about replacing the Department of Commerce with AI. Now the question comes with, what else do they replace with? AI. And here's where it gets really strange. It talks about in this section below that no politician or governing body may stop AI for the next 10 years or enforce any laws or regulations regulating artificial intelligence models. That's Silicon Valley owning the government. Then we find Silicon Valley manipulating the weather. Then it gets weirder when we find AI and Silicon Valley entering the healthcare system to control all of that. And you can't sue any of these companies. Isn't that odd? And this kind of reminds me of the Vaccine Protection Act signed by Reagan in 1986, protecting all the vaccine companies from damages. There were so many lawsuits that they were actually going to go out of business, but the government protected them. And it gets even deeper when we find Billy Boy Clinton in the Telecommunication Act of 1996. He passed a bill so if they put a cell phone tower in front of your house, you can't sue for any damages. Do you see how the government is kind of setting us up? And then they're going to replace the government with AI? It's kind of really strange. It's almost like Black Mirror. I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, that is a weird concept. Imagine replacing the government with AI. So
A
that
robot.
I think that they're already asking AI serious questions.
decisions, like the part where people make decisions, and basically it's kind of like the multitude of wisdom concept where people get around and basically make decisions as a group based on their particular set of expertise. So that means that a computer system is going to be doing all the decision making.
Man, yo, I honestly think AI is like literally a cover up term. I think there's a mother AI, like a motherboard, like the biggest or whatever. Maybe we don't know about it. And it's really just the devil. Like, I really think these folk really got communication with Satan, and they're going to just call it AI. Like that AI that's now rules the world and is the one world leader or whatever, like it's really just, yeah, like, you know, they're going to call it AI, but it's, y'all remember when AI, you know, was saying all these demonic type of replies to certain stuff, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think the part that makes it technically AI is the fact that, like, it is a function that was created via computer. So, like, at its base, it is technology.
No. I believe AI is technology.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, I believe that's just going to be a cover up for, I guess, the head AI.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you really got to think about it. Are they truly letting robots or decide the most important things according to their agendas, or do they know it's something else and they're just calling it that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like behind closed doors, getting counsel from aliens. We'll say.
Or Pete, I just read something that said this, right? It
That
said,
was a Black Mirror episode, something like that.
yeah, it's like this. I just read something that said, oh, the love hormone oxytocin scientifically has been proven to heal the heart. That's literally just saying, oh, love heals.
Yeah.
Like they're just breaking down a scientific term.
Right.
It's like when you break stuff down into a science or scientific or technical terms, right? Cool. You've broken it down in this way. But does that actually negate the spiritual side of it? You know what I'm saying? Is that just because you can explain it in a certain way, does that negate that this is actually a spiritual thing, you know, or something like?
Yeah, that's real. And I mean, when you were talking, I was thinking about like almost like a portal. You know how like in all the movies there's like a portal that almost talks. Like that's kind of how I see it.
There you go.
Like that,
there you go. Yeah.
That
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, like the government, like the government leaders are around this table, and like there's this portal, and you know that's just where, you know, say it's just speaking through, or like, you know, he has an entity or some sorts. But yeah, I do think that there's gonna be a mother AI. I already think that government leaders and politicians, they probably already use AI so much in their daily basis.
Yeah.
That it's like they are getting possessed by it.
Look,
you know, like it's thinking of all their decisions. Like
that's wrong.
I see a lot of memes on it. Like people like, oh, the baby just was born. They type in the ChatGPT, what are some cool baby names? Make it unique.
Yeah.
And then AI spits out stuff. Like, I don't think we realize how detrimental AI is, not just like for society, but also like to the environment.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, which is why they've been environmental groups have been getting together to give pushback on certain things. Or they need to build these plants that require some, you know, tons and tons of water.
The U.S. Congo agreement bill with their minerals.
The issue of sourcing the products to uphold the infrastructure. They must be hedging against that some kind of way. They must have some sort of thought in mind on how they can build this infrastructure and make it sustainable.
Yeah,
It's gotta be
I think it's gonna make
Forest fires.
it's gonna make it all the more wasteland here in the States. Like the bigger AI gets, the more wasteland. Because there's this video, I won't get too deep into it, but it's in North Georgia where Meta built a data center for AI, and the water has been completely tarnished. Like the water source, like people like trying to take a shower, but like there's no water coming out. You know, like it's crazy. So
Or the water's brown.
Yeah, the water's brown, so it's rough.
Because all of the fresh water is going to the plant.
Yeah,
man. Well,
yeah. So
all right, we got a whole nother half of the board to get to.
yeah,
Where are we at on time?
we are at 1 minute, so 1 hour and 10 minutes.
1 hour and 10 minutes. Okay.
10. Let's shoot for 1:30.
We're taking our time today. Well, the main topic today I wanted to discuss is about bearing fruit. And so, as we were talking about earlier with how our hair has evolved, and I think that what happens is when you fear the Most High and you're aligning your walk with Him, you're asking to be filled with the Ruach, you're going to have some physical changes on the outside as well. And so I just want to hear y'all's opinions on bearing fruit and what it looks like as a Hebrew to truly, bear fruit because of the fear that you have for the Most High and how it could be reflected in the way that you show up in the world.
Mm-hmm. You can go first, Elijah.
I'm not sure where to really start with my perspective.
Or a way to put the question is, how do you see yourself differently than when you were in your Christian walk to now?
I have a deeper desire to read the Most High's word, to pray, and just have like real relationship with Him, and also, thinking about, like, I actually kind of think about it in more of a holistic sense with my relationship with the Most High. It's not just like surface level. Like I would just like, when I was, back in Ohio and, trying to go to church, I was like, okay, well, I went to church, like that was good enough. Like, but now it's like, well, church is every day. Like I'm reading the word every day. I'm praying every day. Like I'm, seeking the Most High daily. So it's more of like a lifestyle. And I think that from those lifestyle changes, I've been able to bear fruit. But all praise be to the Most High. I cannot take any credit for my faith increasing, for my desire to seek Him more. It's just it's the Holy Spirit that's leading me closer to the Most High. So like I think that as I've there's a verse I want to pull up. Deja and I, we meditate on like verses and like try like memorize them and like apply them to our lives. But one of them, I think she came up with this one, is John 15 and Yahshua being the vine. So this one says, I am the true vine and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, He prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. I just think about it in the sense of like having to cut off my flesh, essentially, like just rid of myself with flesh. So that I can bear fruit. Now it's not as easy as I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Okay, it's a daily process, and even when I fall short, you repent and you just get back to it. And ask the Most High to like change your heart towards your flesh and regretting those past sins. But I think it's important that like it's on the outside. People see like, oh, there's a change that's been going on. I mean, clearly, like my appearance looks so totally different. I knew that I was going through like a changing of my mind even before we started podcasting. Okay. Because when we started podcasting, I had a phase, but like there was even a pre-change in my mind before we started podcasting. Okay. It was during it was before I even got here to Atlanta. But now we're just seeing the fruits of, my outward appearance is changing, but my heart has changed out a lot as well.
That's good.
It's just, it's keeping love at the center, but also truth. And truth is, one of the things Yahshua prayed for us is for us to be sanctified in Yah's word. His word is truth. So, just realizing that it's vital. It's vital for our lives to be immersing ourselves in the Bible.
Yeah, that's good. I think the flip side of that, like, which we see all the time, is like you kind of, when you can have a preconceived notion about a person based on their appearance. So for me, if I see a Black woman and she's got like locks and she might be wearing crystals and she might be maybe have certain types of tattoos and stuff, I'm going to assume that she is spiritual. And so I think that for a lot of Hebrews, maybe sometimes we put too much, not us individually, but I think within the faith, what I see is like a little bit, maybe too much focus on the appearance, which is how you get into a costume-ish way to express your faith in your Hebrewism by what you're wearing and making it to be something that would kind of definitely stand out and make you look noticeably different from the rest of society. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes I think there's two ways. There's one thing where the fruit of what's in your heart is present on the outside in a genuine way. And then there is the thing where you want people to understand what you believe, so you try to wear it as a costume.
Yeah.
So I think like for me, by the fear of the Most High has definitely caused me to change my overall lifestyle. But the other things that come with like knowing who I am and really believing that I am the daughter of the Most High God, and that I'm a part of a chosen people and a lineage, it makes me want to take really good care of myself. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, like the hair is the start as far as like living out my authentic beauty, being able to wear my hair in its natural state and feeling beautiful, being able to, not need a lot of makeup and things of that nature.
Just shake them right after that.
Makes me feel like I can lean into my authentic, like yes. This is the design. Like I get the design that the Most High was going for when He created us.
Yeah.
And so,
what was He going? Ooh, I like that.
What was His? What was when He made us? What did He picture us to look like? Yeah. And so it's like it makes me want to lean into that.
Yeah.
And so I try to take myself.
Oh, that's good.
Like
that's
I
clip.
Jump up, run 5 miles. Like this past week, I think I ran actually all 5 days of the week. Like. In the future, I want to, envision myself being able to wake up and go run a 6-mile run. Like it's nothing. Like that's my daily routine, because I really feel as if He's blessing me with favor to be able to do that. Like, and so that's going to go into my appearance as well, because I'm going to, appear physically fit. Hair's going to be healthy, skin's healthy because I'm eating well. Like, I want to have a gentleness, a softness when people meet and approach me that exudes the love of Christ.
I've noticed this a little bit more in her too.
Really?
Yeah, I have some
gentleness.
Gentleness, yeah.
Yeah.
See, the Lord, He's working on me. He's working on me.
I know. Oh my God.
I'm actually reading a really interesting book about being a fierce woman, and so by the title of the book, you would think, oh, this is about to be one of those feminist type books. But really what she's, the author is talking about the way that you use your fierceness for good and not for harm. Mm-hmm. And, the gentle softness that you bring to, your marriage and things like that. But anyways, nonetheless, so I think that I definitely want my light to shine.
Yeah.
I want it to be evident, in anyone who meets me. But also, we can't get too locked in on what the appearance of a thing is, because if you don't look closely, a lot of things can look like other things. Like people who consider themselves to be spiritual, which is why I have things like when we were in that at 5 Points, and I started getting into the conversation with the woman. Yeah. And it's because she's a Black woman who has like a shop where she's like selling like crystals and stuff. I mean, we went in there to buy a beef patty, but she has a sense of pride in her Blackness, of course. She wanted to talk a little bit about history and things, but like she doesn't accept the Messiah. So she can have a form of godliness and have the appearance of
but deny the power thereof.
Yes. So I know that our outward appearance is to set us apart, but we can't rely solely on that.
No, that's heavy. That is deep. And when he was like, just talking about like, what is the Most High going for? Like, that's the perspective on appearance we should have rather than trying to look like something. Like, you know what I mean? our outward appearance changed because of our love for him, because we want how I look to be aligned with his will.
Yes.
You know, I guess for me, my metamorphosis is, you know, number one, man, I look at my people differently. I look at them differently. You know, I read a precept one time or something with you guys, and it was like why Yeshua has his perspective on, like, it was showing that Yeshua learned about sin as a child, and it's in that Gospel of the Holy 12, Gospel of Nazarenes, and it talks about, I think, Zacharias, who's John the Baptist's father, was speaking to, I think he was speaking to maybe Mary or somebody else. But it was like saying that he learned, it was, I forget who it was exactly speaking, but there was like the Most High's purpose in Yeshua learning sin as a child is so when he looks at people in sin, he sees them as children not knowing what they do. Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. So whenever you look at sin, it's like looking at a child not knowing what they're doing to themselves. And that's kind of like how I kind of look at my, like, and it's not like I'm like better than my people or my people as a child, but it's like, man, we don't even know who we are. We don't know how close knit we are. We say, oh, we're kings and queens, or we're family, blah, 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 but we don't really know. Like, you know what I'm saying? We talk about my answers, that, but we don't even know who our ancestors really was. Like, so it's a deeper love I have for my people. You know, we are stiff-necked people. It's also a deeper hunger for truth and desire for truth. I think that was probably one of the fastest changes that happened to me, is my thirst for truth.
Okay.
The petty truths, the truths that matter, the truths that don't matter. I just want to know everything, you know. That kind of got me a little bit too much into the world of the cult at a point that dogged Bobby down, but you know, Most High pulled me out of that as well. I've seen just where, like, I've seen the worst of me actually in this truth. I've seen myself experience and do things that I would consider maybe was some of the worst experiences of my life. And what the lesson in that was, it doesn't matter how much you know or how much truth that you know. If you aren't being filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, you can still be capable of doing the most evil things, or being the worst person, even with the knowledge that you have. And it's that saving love, you know, from Yeshua that really cleanses us, not how much truth or how much rabbit hole, how much knowledge that we have. So, you know, those are some of the biggest things, you know, I've seen in me, and the humility that comes after experiencing those things and realizing you're not holier than now. The maturity of just learning lessons of not getting into vain arguments and debates anymore. You know what I mean? You come into this truth and you kind of dive into that world, you know, but then the Most High kind of, you know, evens you out. But yeah, man, that's what I would say. As far as appearance, you know, obviously, you know, I've locked my hair, and I've actually become a lot more minimalist, especially with visiting Africa. You know, I need less, but I'm even more about preparedness, because it's like that excerpt Pastor Stephen Darby said. It's at the end of one of I want to say either Hezekiah or the Rock song, but he was saying, Pastor Darby was like, Israel didn't even have to fight at times. It's just as long as they got into position, the Most High would fight for them.
Yes,
you know, and so, like, even though I prepare and I prep, right, in faith, not in fear, you know, I'm still a minimalist in most areas of life. I don't need as much. I'm thankful for what I got. You know?
Oh, actually, that's the thing for me too, I think, because I remember when I first started working, I was so consumed. I don't want to say consumed, but I shopped a lot because I was all about like having these work outfits. Like I wanted to like look like something. I didn't know nothing, but I just wanted to have on a blazer with the little heel shoes. Now I have a literal uniform I wear to work. I wear black pants and a black shirt. And in the fall, I wear black pants and a black shirt with a quarter zip. Every single time I go to work. And it never fails. Therefore, I never draw unnecessary attention to myself.
BC.
Therefore, it's NPC.
The Most High hidden ones.
I just want to be hidden.
Yeah,
I like
hidden
that.
ones.
I feel like I can predict what I'm like, how I'm gonna, and I do a thing where it's like I'm packing because I gotta go to the gym first. It just has become such a stress relief for me to have my literal NPC work outfit. Like, I'm not here to be extra special. I'm not here to draw attention to myself. Might not even want to get promoted unless I'm ready. Like, I just want to like get in and get out. And I feel like those are the people who are really about their business. When you're trying to look like something on the outside, sometimes it's because you don't really have, like, I didn't have no real work experience. I'm just wearing heels to work. Like,
fake it till you make it.
You just fake it till you make it, yeah.
I heard. All right, shoot. What y'all thinking? We got more on that, or we?
Wait, do you think that people know what you believe by just looking at you?
Some people might be able to pick out fringes if I wear fringes.
Okay.
Some people be like, "Oh, is that a Hanukkah?" No, it's a menorah. But it doesn't have to do a Hanukkah.
Okay.
People don't really know. Somebody thought this. Someone's like, "Oh, you got the square root of pi symbol on? Like, you must be really smart because it was sideways." It's like, no, it's Hebrew letter.
Yeah, so I would say then yes. I would say.
Well, some people, they might have an idea. They might think, "Oh, you're Jewish" or something like that. But if they look closely,
Gotcha.
I'll just then I answer how I answer.
Yeah, I think I would say I would lean towards a no, but I do think that people see this. I think it's one of the fruits that I have been blessed with is peace. So I think people do see a lot of peace in my face.
Yeah.
But with that,
314. Hi.
With that, I think when I talk, it depends on who I'm talking to. But like, for example, like if I'm going to give someone just like to bless somebody, like maybe somebody needs some food or something, I'll just give them like a quick word. I don't think that they see Christianity or they hear Christianity at all.
Okay.
And I'm just like, when you read that Bible, just know it's about you. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about relationship with the Most High. So it's like little things like that. But visually, I would say I could be mistaken probably for Hebrew, Christian, Hotep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rastafari, possible.
Maybe.
Yes, I do think the Hotep thing can look very similar. Which is, I was actually speaking with Dr. Kim from Healing Judah Wellness because she's a doula as well, which is something I aspire toward. And I was telling her how in the doula space, there's so many women that have this form of spirituality. So it's like all of them are like that, and so like there's really not a lot of women who are like doing these things in a healing way, like with the word. So just to the average onlooker, we might look the same. You have natural hair. You say you do this and that, certain teas, and you blah, blah, blah. Then over here. So it's like, what really sets us apart?
You know what it is, though? People are going to read the energy different.
Yeah.
Like, even before I came to the truth, I've been told a little bit here and there, you got a lied about you or something, you know what I mean? I kind of brushed it off. I my fake humility thing, I guess.
Wait, your humility's fake?
No. I'm saying, when you agree with them, but then you can't it sounds too, you can't agree too much. Right.
Oh yeah, I've been doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're gonna sound like, okay, there goes your life. But I get approached a lot more. So I'm in the gym, right? People tell me I do crazy stuff a lot in the gym, but
you do.
Okay.
Cookies, candy, and ice cream.
but okay, so like just like about a week ago, I was stopped from doing my workout, and you could actually, I don't think I posted the video yet, actually. But this old white guy, he's like the oldest guy that goes there, but he's pretty fit, like in his 70s, old white guy, slim. In the background, you just see him watching me, like I'm doing like pistol squats with these kettlebells on a Bosu ball, bouncing, and he just comes up to me like, "You're amazing, man. How do you do that?" And I'm like, "Well, just practice, man." But I mean, look at you. You're the real, like you're the real G, right? You know what I mean? I hope to still be in it. And he went into this whole like 30-minute story of his like life of just like growing up and being an extra skinny guy, only getting into fitness around 60 years old.
Oh wow!
And now he's like super fit and doing it. His wife has dementia. I mean, it got real. He shed a couple. you know, he even talked about this Samoan pastor who spoke into his life and stuff. And, you know, Jesus was brought up, and the conversation ultimately ended in, you know, me asking him, you know, pray for him, right?
Oh,
and you know, his wife, and you know, it was just like moments like that, like show like it's not even the parents, and I don't even think it's even just like the crazy stuff I do. Yeah, the crazy stuff I do, but he would not share so much of his life and really personable things in his life that would cause tears to come down his face if he didn't sense something. You know what I mean? He as a conversation when he talked about how he feels or sense something in me, and it's like, you know,
that's right.
And that's and that's not from my parents or just the workout. That's from what this change that yesterday is doing. And at the end of the day, people will become more vulnerable and open up to you, not just off your physical appearance, but the energy that you're giving off if they get to experience that, you know. And I've just had more experience where people like read the energy and say, there's something about you or something this and that, and you know, again, I try to, you know, there's the fake humility thing where I kind of know, but you can't really say too much. But but in those moments, I do remind myself, but you can also be the lowest of the low. Like I've been there too, just to keep me humble. You know?
No, that's good.
But,
yes, we do. We want to bear fruit, though. We want.
That's a good testimony.
Yes,
like, you know, the Holy Spirit working within you. You know what I mean?
No, for sure, bro.
And being a vessel, like it's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's like it's encouraging for people to hear. You know, like that following Yeshua bears legitimate fruit. You know, where you're able to like connect with people on a deeper level, and I know that dude's encouraged. You know,
You
know? So you are humble.
Yeah, no, I you know, I'm working on. It's an everyday work for me. Everyday work.
But I say that you're humble because he's like, man, you're doing these amazing things. You turn it back on him. You know, you're like, yo, bro, you're 7 years old. You're doing these great things. So it's like, it's just,
it's good. I like it.
Can I speak some life into you, buddy? All right, alternative thought.
Alternative thought. Okay.
This could be a quick one.
We can just discussing post-COVID effects.
You know, the blinders have been taken off, I feel like, with post-COVID effects in every aspect. Like, all the conspiracies have been laid out. And now, even the ones that started during COVID, people are like, you're right. Dang, Skippy. So it's just like the explosion of information. And then...
it's like everyone raised like an eyebrow when COVID started and like they never lowered it.
Like, 5 years later, some people still wear masks.
Yeah,
I have seen a few masks out there.
But
it's like all the people who were getting into the conspiracy things kind of did during COVID, and they never let up.
Yeah. A lot of the conspiracies before, but like during COVID, it was like
it took off.
Explosion. Yeah.
You know, people like to say, "Oh, we're in an age of Aquarius, and knowledge and information be revealed." Yeah, man. A lot of people are getting into knowledge and truth and information, but you know, they still need the truth.
Yes.
What did Daniel say? Shut up the book until I got it. There's a verse that Daniel literally references about this age of information.
Okay, gotcha. No, definitely do that. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, you know, I kind of brought this topic up, guys, because you know, I got a client, you know, Indian dude. He's an older gentleman, probably in his like, I think he's higher 50s. He's very into like wineries and alcohols and throwing events and stuff like that. And you know, he started with me because he has heart issues. And you know, we've gotten him pretty fit. Like he's gotten really strong. His cardio is a lot better. And he has his test coming up, you know, where they're gonna test his heart and stuff like that. And you know, he just kind of finally like told me like where he thinks like this stuff started first happening. He said, bro, I really think it's the COVID shots. And I got 4 of them, you know, and you know, I told you so him because I didn't know him since then, but I was just like, yeah, no, that's unfortunate because, you know, I'm the only person that's not vaccinated. I seen my dad get prostate cancer a couple months after COVID, mom's blood pressure, blah, blah. You know, they've now have come through it, you know, thank y'all.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of like, I was reminiscing to him like, man, look, I was ostracized from society family didn't want to be around, arguments, contentions,
Mhm.
and and it's like, I still kind of look, I'm still trying to fight the pettiness of like, I told you so's and wanting apologies.
Keep
But,
fighting it.
but people really are real deal dying,
Yeah.
like dropping dead athletes,
Yeah.
stillbirths. A lot of this actually even affects unvaccinated people too, vaccine shedding, which is one reason why I really promote zeolite detoxing and grounding.
Okay.
But yeah, like, and I mean, you just see now where the people who've taken and have kind of gone with that agenda, it's just kind of like silence. It's radio noise. Granted, it's not like they got to come out and just mass apologize, but I do wish that there was more of an outcry or outroar from people who know of vaccine injury and who are experiencing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
It's like,
where's the angry mob at?
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Why isn't those that were promoting it so much, all the organizations, not just talking about the federal government, but all the hospitals, all the healthcare facilities, all of the organizations that were in cahoots, why aren't they being held accountable? Why aren't you upset at them? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I would feel. I'm like, I'm low-key mad at them because they were trying to push it on us so much.
Yeah.
It's like
losing jobs,
It's like your livelihood depended on it.
friendships, families torn apart.
But y'all do realize every single doctor that any of us will ever be able to visit in the future would have all been vaccinated and had to go to that system. Because
but there are doctors that withheld themselves from that, or who are
it's the young ones. So like my cousin, for example, she had gotten admitted. She was getting admitted into medical school around this time, and she went to Harvard, so she couldn't even continue classes until she got vaccinated. She would not have been able to become a doctor unless she did these things.
Yeah.
So everyone that's within that generation, the future doctors, will have been vaccinated.
Yeah, they should all be mad.
Yeah,
they should all be mad.
The thing is, like we heard in that video, Reagan had signed a vaccine bill, which basically protected those companies. So it's just crazy. It's sick. It's really sick.
One other thing I think when I think about like post-COVID effects, like I saw a study that said some odd number of like millennials have like multiple jobs and stuff like that. So I think that everyone realized that we do not have to work in this like confines of like in an office for this many hours a day, blah blah blah. We can like multitask and work from home and do 2 jobs and 3 jobs, and so you can't unknow that. Like I think they'll be able to get people to come back to the office, but the workplace is never going to be as it was before COVID. And I think people are going to start to demand more. Turnover is going to continue to be high, and people are not going to be so easy to give up their side hustles and side jobs. Also because of inflation and like life is just getting a lot more expensive. And so I think the effects of that are going to continue forward.
Yeah, I came across a meme. It says, Bill Gates, quote, "Our world is overpopulated," from that TED Talk video. You must take an experimental COVID vaccine, Bill Gates. 5 years later, it reads, total fertility rate, births per woman. The total fertility rate summarizes the total number of births a woman would have if she experienced the birth rates seen in women of each age group in one particular year across her bearing years. You see in Russia, it's from 2 to like 1. India from like over 4 to maybe 2. Sweden from 4 to maybe 1.5. Like all the births in every single place have gone down exponentially.
Wow.
And I've seen all across my timeline, like especially with my European, people I'm connected to stillbirth, miscarry here, like, like, so it's just a thing of like, we're seeing the effects, we're living through it, and we just gotta just keep praying.
Yes.
The way I pray is, the Most High protect your people and those who will be your people.
Yeah.
From this, with the verse, Paul, talks about those days will take up serpents, and we drink any deadly thing and be healed. Forget what verse that is, but does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he went through that himself. I was reading Acts, just finished.
Right.
He got bit by a snake, and
Yeah.
the islanders, they saw he got bit by a snake, and they thought he was gonna die, but then he didn't die. He's like, oh my gosh, who is he? You know,
Yeah, right.
Look at him almost like a god. He's like, no, Yahshua.
Yeah.
But in closing with this, Daniel 12:4, it says, "But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end. Many will go here and there to increase knowledge." So it kind of just talks about prophecy, because we know Daniel had the prophecy of the statue being blown to smithereens by the rock, which is Yahshua. But rolling up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end, which, I think we're ending an age.
Oh.
The age is ending for sure. So
Yeah, that's good. That's a good reference.
a lot of information has been exposed.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm trying to say.
For sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So financial news. We got a couple of things here. Let's get into it. We've got Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger hint at a new West African currency, what it will take for it to succeed. So it looks like that these three West African nations are seeking to build their own currency and to get off the French franc.
We should just go ahead and piggyback and just say this comes after Ghana's CD surpasses, because we really lump those both.
Ghana.
CD passes the US dollar.
Oh, see, I don't have that.
Okay, gotcha.
But let me find it. But yeah, Ghana is set Ghana's their currency is set to surpass the United States.
No, it already did.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Outperformed the US dollar.
Oh,
it's actually the highest performing currency.
Interesting.
Yeah, so these new currencies are taking rise. I got it right here. And I tell you, this is one source, Brandon, that you send a lot of information from.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong. They just post a lot of content.
Oh yeah, I already know. Yeah, no, I get it.
Share this real quick. Computer is dying. It's to the stage. All right, so here it is. Ghana CD becomes world's best performing currency after appreciating 16% against the US dollar since April. So it's the world's best performing currency. That means that it's Ghana, their inflation rate is a lot lower than ours, essentially. That's the best way to put it. But we're seeing, other national currencies gain in popularity. And one thing I also want to touch on is Florida.
Yeah, that bank, yeah, man.
Yeah.
You were watching the rise of Africa, man.
Yeah.
Some people still don't see it.
People don't see it, yeah. And I was looking at a stat, so the World Bank, they put out monthly reports, and one of the monthly reports was talking about global inflation. And man, I tell you, when you look at emerging and developing economies, such as many of those ones in Africa, they are just being a lot more efficient and productive with their prices, with their output levels, and the input costs, and even their currencies, and with inflation. So, we're just seeing it as they are realizing that they had to get off just solely USD, but they had to get some gold and silver, which kind of ties into our final touch point, which is gold and silver coins will be legal tender in Florida as of 2026. So it looks like DeSantis has signed a bill that is going to allow for gold and silver to be legal tender in Florida. This is massive, y'all. Brandon is big on having these precious metals, and we've touched on it, but this stuff is coming, and I think it's important to start looking at gold and silver as actual payment sources.
Yeah.
To freaking have savings in silver and gold.
Yes.
Because it's going to retain its store value forever.
Silver, $1.50 as well.
Yeah.
If I know I'm passing by a certain bank that carries silver and $.50, take it right out of my account. Give me the coin, because those dollars have silver content in them.
Mhm.
So though their value actually might, even though it represents $1 or a half dollar, it might be anywhere from $12 to $85.
Yeah. So it's store value assets, guys. Gold and silver. It's gonna be a form of payment, and you just want to be along with the times, because this United States dollar bill is losing purchasing power extremely fast.
For sure.
So it's only going to get worse with these tariffs when they start to come in effect,
Again.
and then the wars with oil prices rising. So that's all I got for financial news, y'all.
It's good.
Well.
The topic on the currency, I'd like to see the African nations form alliances. I think that's going to play a role in the exchange of power, the wealth exchange. Like when I see, them doing this thing with the currency, to me, that's an alliance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it, man.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Well, y'all, that's been episode 48.
I'm all talked out.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes.
You made it this far, so thank you for listening to our banter and our discussion. We talked about some really good topics,
Laptop.
It's about to die. So make sure you guys comment, like, share, subscribe. We greatly appreciate you all for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Kingdom _OutKast. Share some topics of information that you'd like to see.
We're Kingdom OutKasts.
Oh, Kingdom OutKast.
On Instagram. No underscore.
Oh, no underscore. Kingdom OutKast on Instagram, and but we appreciate y'all tuning in.
Yeah.
Much love and shalom.
And if you'd love to pour into us, Kingdom OutKast Pod on Cash App.
Yes.
When you pour into us, we can pour more into you and not go on these long hiatuses. Shalom, y'all.
Shalom.
Love, thesis. All right, thumbnail.
All right, let's take that.